Welcome to the deep dive, where we take these complex topics, business and finance, and try to make them make
Just
sense.
break them down
Yeah, exactly.
into something digestible.
Exactly.
Nice.
So today we're diving into a company called Tanla Platforms Ltd,
Okay.
and they're a global cloud communications company. And we've got three documents here we're going to be pulling from.
Yeah.
Their shareholder letter and their Q3 FY25 results,
Mm-hmm.
an investor update also from that same quarter,
Okay.
and then a press release that resulted from their board meeting on January 21st, 2025.
Very cool. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's see what we can glean about this company, what they're doing, and where they're going.
Sounds good.
What really stood out to me from the get-go was that this isn't just like a messaging company.
Right.
This is like they're actually trying to shape the future of how we communicate
Yeah.
with their technology. And they've got this two-pronged approach.
Okay.
And that's what they call digital platforms and enterprise communications.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be like a key part of their strategy.
Right. And it's that dual focus that makes them really stand out from the crowd because you've got the digital platform side, which is all about innovation.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where they're developing cutting-edge tech like TrueBlock, which is their anti-spam platform, and then Wisely ATP, which is all about stopping scams.
So they're not just like playing the existing market.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Like they're actively working to make the communication ecosystem more trustworthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that focus on security and trust is a big differentiator for them in the cloud communication space because consumers are bombarded with messages these days.
Yeah,
And you don't know what's legit and what's not.
for sure.
So by building in that trust and that security,
Mm-hmm.
they're really helping their clients stand out as well.
Yeah, and that's where I think this enterprise communications side comes in.
Exactly.
Because that's where they scale up. So that's where they're talking about delivering billions of communications for over 2,000 businesses worldwide.
Yep, they've got the innovation and the scale to make a real impact.
So that's that two-pronged approach, right?
Yeah.
So they're not just coming up with these innovative ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but they're able to actually bring them to the masses.
Exactly.
Which is pretty cool. And speaking of cool things, let's talk about RCS.
Okay.
1 billion RCS messages in 1 month.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It shows they're not messing around.
Yeah, and in fact, they were recognized by Google as the RCS Growth Partner of the Year for 2024.
Wow.
So what is it? What is RCS and why should we care?
So RCS stands for Rich Communication Services.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the next evolution of how we interact with businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. Instead of just your basic text messages,
Yeah.
you can have multimedia messages, so, images, videos. You can have clickable buttons.
Oh, wow.
You can even have chatbots all within your native messaging app. So I don't have to download another app.
Exactly. No need to download anything new.
That's very cool.
It's all right there.
Say.
And it makes those interactions so much more convenient and intuitive.
So they're not just making communication richer, but also easier.
Exactly. They're streamlining the whole experience.
So what makes Tanla's RCS platform different?
Their secret weapon is AI.
Okay.
So their RCS platform uses these intelligent algorithms
Mm-hmm.
to personalize messages, to prevent spam, and to just make sure that you're having a really good experience as a user.
And this is key, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have mass adoption, it
That's
has to be a
what it-
good experience.
It's got to be user-friendly or people just won't use it.
Right. And it seems like AI is like a big part of their DNA when you look at the growth they've seen in OTT, which is over-the-top communication channels.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from 15% of their revenue last year from OTT to 23% this quarter.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, that's huge.
It shows that they're really riding the wave of how people are communicating today.
Like they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we're moving away from, traditional channels like SMS and email,
Right.
and we're embracing platforms like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, for sure.
And Tanla recognized this early on, and they've invested heavily in developing solutions that allow businesses to connect with customers on those preferred channels.
So do we have any specific examples of how they're using these OTT channels to actually make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So they worked with a major financial services provider,
Okay.
and they helped them revamp their entire customer engagement strategy using WhatsApp.
Mm.
And this led to a 3 times increase in their read rates
Wow.
and an 8 times higher click-through rate compared to their previous methods.
8 times.
8 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's a lot.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how powerful these platforms can be when used effectively.
So it's not just about switching platforms,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about how you use them.
Exactly. It's about leveraging those features to create campaigns that actually resonate with customers.
So what did they do?
Well, they used rich media, like images and videos.
Okay.
They incorporated call to action buttons, and they even implemented chatbots to provide instant support.
Oh, wow.
So it went from being this kind of passive broadcast
Right?
to a much more active and engaging conversation.
So they're meeting customers where they are
Exactly.
and in the way they want to be communicated with.
Yeah, it's all about personalization and engagement.
And AI plays a big role in that, right?
Absolutely. AI is the engine that drives that personalization and makes it all possible.
That's really interesting. So they're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with customer engagement. It's impressive. And it really ties back to this commitment to innovation. I saw that they were granted a patent for detecting phishing attacks,
Oh, wow.
which is really cool. I mean, they're not just thinking about growth, but they're thinking about security
Right. So
too.
that's huge.
And they have 8 patents now in total, so clearly investing in R&D.
That's a good sign.
So they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. But
Yeah, for sure.
how is this actually impacting their bottom line?
That's where things get a little bit more, well, a little more interesting.
Interesting. How?
Their Q3 financial results were a bit of a mixed bag.
A mixed bag in what way?
Well, so Tanla is overall a very strong performer,
Okay.
but their revenue growth in Q3 was softer than expected.
Softer. How come?
Well, there are a few factors at play. I
Yeah.
think, the global economic slowdown has definitely impacted businesses across the board.
Yeah.
And, that's probably affecting Tanla's clients too and their communication needs.
Right.
But also they're making these big investments in talent acquisition and new technology development.
Okay.
And, those things can take a bite out of short-term profitability.
So they're prioritizing the future.
Yeah, they're playing the long game.
Makes sense, but, those investments need to pay off eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
So do you think it's the right approach?
Well, I think it's a calculated risk,
Okay.
but one that could really pay off in the long run.
Okay.
The cloud communications market is super competitive,
Yeah.
and it's always changing.
For sure.
So you have to be investing if you want to stay ahead of the game.
Right.
But Tanla, they've got a really strong balance sheet, zero debt,
That's good. Yeah.
which gives them that flexibility to make these strategic moves.
That makes sense.
And they're still industry leading in terms of profitability, so not exactly struggling.
No, that's reassuring. But how about their shareholders? I mean, how are they
Right.
rewarding their investors in the meantime?
Well, they declared an interim dividend of 6 per share,
Okay.
which is in line with their policy of paying out 30% of their profits as dividends.
So they're sharing the wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're committed to giving back to their shareholders.
Yeah. And a consistent payout like that,
Mm-hmm.
that shows they're confident in their future.
Absolutely.
And, speaking of commitment, their dedication to ESG principles is really impressive.
Oh, yeah.
They got a 74 on the S&P Global ESG score for 2024.
Wow.
That puts them in the top 99 percentile for their industry.
That's incredible.
So they're not just, checking boxes.
Yeah.
They're really integrating this to their business.
It's part of their DNA.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with their score in human capital management, focusing on their employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
It shows that they're not just focused on profits, but they're also focused on people.
So it seems like they're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, a lot to be excited about.
Strong financials, commitment to innovation, and a focus on ESG principles. But are there any challenges or uncertainties on the horizon that we should be aware of?
Well, there are a couple of things to keep an eye on for sure.
Like what?
Well, their acquisition of Value First International is still awaiting regulatory approvals.
Right. The Value First acquisition, that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big move.
So what could happen?
Well, if it goes through, it could really expand their reach,
Okay.
especially in those emerging markets.
That's good.
Yeah, but, regulatory hurdles are always a possibility with these big deals.
Right.
So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Anything else we should be watching? They also brought on a new independent director to their board, Naya Sagi.
Yeah, she's got a ton of experience scaling up, consumer-focused businesses.
Yeah.
So her insights should be really valuable as Tanla, continues to grow.
Especially as they're looking to expand globally.
Exactly.
It seems like Tanla's in this really dynamic phase.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of exciting things happening.
Lots of potential.
But also some potential hurdles to overcome.
Right.
But overall, it seems like they're in a really good position for continued success.
I think so too. I think they're definitely a company to keep an eye on.
So let's recap what we learned today.
Sounds good.
We learned that Tanla Platforms Ltd is this global cloud communications company, and they're operating in 2 main areas, digital platforms where they're creating innovative solutions like TripBlock and Wisely ATP,
Right.
and then enterprise communications where they're delivering huge volumes of messages for businesses all over the world.
Exactly.
And they're a leader in that RCS space.
Yeah, 1 billion RCS messages in a month.
That's crazy.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and they're growing like crazy in these OTT channels like WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm. Adapting to how people are communicating.
Exactly. And their financials, while a little mixed, are still strong overall.
Yeah, they're in a good spot.
Solid balance sheet,
Yep.
industry-leading profitability,
Yeah.
and they're giving back to their shareholders with these consistent dividends.
Can't forget that.
And their commitment to ESG principles is impressive.
For sure. They're setting a great example.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for you?
Well, I think the big takeaway here is that Tanla is a company that's moving forward. They're not afraid to invest in innovation, and they're really shaping the future of communication.
They're definitely a company to watch, especially as those AI-powered solutions like RCS become more and more common.
Absolutely.
But before we go, I want to leave you with something to think about. We talked about how Tanla is using AI to, make communication better, more efficient, more personalized. But this brings up a bigger question about the role of AI in our lives.
It's a good question.
Is AI going to be that trusted bridge connecting businesses and consumers?
Yeah.
Or is it just going to be another tool for intrusive marketing?
Yeah.
Adding to all the noise that's already out there.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
It is.
It'll be interesting to see how companies like Tanlo kind of figure that out.
Yeah. How do they balance innovation with responsibility?
Exactly.
Well, lots to think about there.
For sure.
And for you listening, if you want to learn more about Tanla, check out their website, www.tanla.com.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Tanla Platforms Ltd.
Until next time.